Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome back to Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. I've been hearing so much about this, and I wanted to, actually sit down and take the time to, just give my thoughts. And this is in regards to G4 pretty much looking like it's going to go under in just under a year of returning of the big reboot that I feel like I was such a fool for getting super excited about, only to end up extremely disappointed with the content that they've put out and just the format and how they've done this reboot has just really been trash. But I wanted to get on here and talk about it and give my thoughts on the whole Frosk rant and just like a lot of what's happened with this downfall of this G4 reboot, and of course with there being massive layoffs, folks leaving. Like it's a bummer because, like I said, I'll admit I was legit excited for this reboot. I mean, but it goes to show that nostalgia is just not enough. Nostalgia is just not enough. And you know what? When you look back, I really feel like this reboot probably shouldn't have happened. It probably really shouldn't have happened. And it hurts to say that, but I mean, honestly, this G4 reboot shouldn't have happened. There's a lot of things that really just went wrong with this. Like, I think one thing for me, maybe I set my expectations a little too high. Because, I mean, for me, for me personally, like the good days of like G4, honestly, I felt were the Tech TV days. Where we had the X plays, where we had the screensavers, call for help, Cinematech, Anime Unleashed, Attack of the Show, like Filter, Electric Playground, Arena, like Judgment Day. Like those I really felt like were the great times for G4, the Tech TV times. And when they did the whole G4 Tech TV, I was a huge fan of feedback. When they would do that on that roundtable of news, like gaming news, different articles, reports on Wednesdays, that podcast feedback, that was my favorite. That was my favorite thing of G4. And I think what one of the things that made this reboot really difficult is you have to also think about the times where they did a lot of this stuff. I mean, YouTube was still pretty new. And, only I feel like only the folks that really had the access to the equipment and the setups to be able to do videos, make their own videos and whatnot. Because I know for myself, I got into YouTube around, I think it was '07 or '08, and I was just recording from my phone. So very low quality, just I mean nothing really special. And then when I eventually got a webcam, it was a low end webcam. So I mean, everybody had to start somewhere. But what was so great about G4, Tech TV at the time was that a lot of the gaming news and stuff like that, although we could easily go to the internet, look at articles, but it was really good to see them go into in depth, especially on X Play, which that was like my main go-to show on Tech TV, on G4. That was what introduced me to Tech TV. And, Attack of the Show had a good dose of comedy, also um, gadget talk and, celebrity interviews, stuff like that. And it was all good. I like what they did with Filter. I like the cast of hosts that they had for these different shows. But then, as time passed and it got to the point where you could easily go onto YouTube or to Twitch, and folks were, making their own content, doing reviews, making their own shows, for free, making them easily accessible. I think the only thing is you just had to, give a follow or give a subscription, subscribe to the channel, whichever, and it was easy peasy, So I think trying to do the G4 reboot during this time, where a lot of gaming news, content reviews, just across the board, are already so easily accessible on the internet, through articles, through YouTube, through Twitch. I mean, tons and millions of folks are doing so. So that was a big challenge. That's a big challenge. Um, and honestly, and I'm gonna segue into the Frosk rant. Honestly, I feel like with the Frosk rant, which I'll leave a link to the rant in the description. My thing is this: when it comes to the Frosk rant, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a content creator. I've been on this YouTube and Twitch for a handful of years now, and one of the things that I've learned, and I mean even social media in general, one of the things that I've learned is, number one, you have to keep in mind that whatever you say, whether on camera or, in audio format, podcast, whatever you say, you have to also keep in mind that everybody is going to have an opinion towards it, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Fact of the matter is, whatever you say live or on camera or whatnot, everybody's going to have access to. And therefore, they're going to have their inputs or whatnot. So if you don't want certain stuff being out there, you probably shouldn't say it. And, and that's the truth. There's certain things that, while you have the freedom to say so, sometimes it's not a good idea to say because of the potential consequences or what others might say in response. That's something that you have to keep in mind, and you have to realize that that is a risk that you take when doing, social media or content creation, on YouTube and other big platforms. So my whole thing is, you gotta do your best to maintain some sort of professionalism, especially with what they're doing with the Attack of the Show and X Play on Twitch, on YouTube, when millions and millions of people can see and comment. I mean, it's not like they ever have the chat closed. The chat's right there, and it's like, you have to understand that not everybody's going to like what you do. You have your supporters, you have your haters, you have your bashers. If it's that big of a deal, that's what you have mods for. But I really felt like it's important to maintain a level of professionalism and just understand that, there are cruel folks out there, no doubt. And a lot of the stuff they may do is uncalled for, no doubt. But at the same time, like I said, using myself as an example, I have to understand and realize that every time I get on here, whatever I say or do, it's out there. It's a wrap. It's out there. So people can say whatever they want, and that's the risk you take with going on the air or going live, with a camera in front of you. Secondly, to be honest with you, and I really thought about this, especially after looking up some other YouTube video responses, to the rant. I honestly feel like if this reboot was really, really strong in the content that they provided, if it was so good with their content, honestly, I really don't think this rant would have ended up being a huge deal, because folks would have continued to enjoy the content. This would have been just like, this would have been like minor damage that could have been fixed, like that, or could have been just pushed to the side, and folks could have played it off. You know what I mean? But the content's just not that good. I mean, I only saw a few episodes of Attack of the Show from this reboot, which, I mean, some of the Around the Net segments were all right, but then it just started going all over the place. And then X-Play just didn't really feel like X-Play at all. And just the formats they were doing were just wasn't really cutting anything. And then the whole saying, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Folks have to realize that there are advantages and disadvantages to saying that. And being that she said that, to end her rant, which, like I said, the rant was pretty much, focused on sexism and gaming. But to end it that way, if you don't like, don't watch, which, I mean, is valid. But when you turn around and folks are, heeding that advice and being like, oh, okay, I'm not going to watch then. And they ended up losing tons and tons and tons and tons of subscribers. Like, and I think, if I remember correctly with this rant, the only reason why anybody even said anything in the first place was because she provided some misinformation. I believe it was about Red Dead Online, or it was about like Sony PlayStation exclusives in general, if I remember correctly. Like, that was all really that she was being criticized for, which could easily have been corrected. But, and it's funny because, not only with her doing that, but Blair Herter said the same with said Frosk rant, which, I mean, he talked about how he was so looking forward to working with her and all the folks with G4, which, he's vice president with Comcast. And he pretty much said the same thing. He said the same thing, don't like, don't watch. And yet, what ends up happening? He freaking leaves G4. All that talk and all that backing up of Frosk, and you turn around and you end up leaving G4 yourself. What does that say about you, Blair Herter? All that talk, and yet you ended up leaving yourself willingly. So that just that just further validates just how badly this whole thing was going to go into the ground. And then after the massive layoffs, Frosk is gonna come back and comment. I think it was on her Twitter or whatnot, that I survived, and just rubbing it in folks' faces. Now, of course, she eventually, not too long after that, departed from G4. But you're gonna sit there. I mean, which she already felt super great about her rant. I mean, you could tell. But then you're gonna sit there and gloat. I survived. I'm still here. Really? Really? She just really shot herself in the foot with that. And sure enough, she's out from G4. And just little by little, I mean, like I said, they had like massive layoffs. Massive. And she wants to gloat and brag. Like, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to see that happen, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that had hopes that this G4 reboot would have gone well. And in the end, it costed people their jobs. And, that's never a great thing, But just, I feel like G4 was doomed from this attempt at the reboot. It was doomed. And then you have to also think about, I mean, they were able to bring back Kevin Pereira. He ended up leaving. Adam Sessler. I mean, they really didn't have a lot of the original cast, which I believe they tried to get Olivia Munn back, but that didn't work out. And I guess Morgan Webb didn't want to be a part of it. But like, there are a lot of iconic names in the old G4 Tech TV days. Morgan Webb, Adam Sessler, Kevin Pereira, Olivia Munn. That maybe could have helped as a unit, but. And then Adam Sessler, the Cess Man. I have lost so much respect for him. I mean, the stuff that he said on Twitter, wow. Like, that is crazy. Especially with how he feels about Republicans. Wow. Like, I've lost so much respect for Adam Sessler. Like, I understand that, you can have your own beliefs, you can, have your own values and whatnot. But when you have that much hate that you wish nasty things, like I said, I'm not going to say what he said because it's pretty vulgar. When you wish nasty things like that upon other people, including family members, I lose respect for you. Like, I used to be a big fan of Adam Sessler, especially in the X-Play days, the old school X-Play days, with him and Morgan Webb. I was a big fan, because I watched X-Play all the time. But just, used to follow him on Twitter, but not anymore. Just, it's ridiculous. Like, that kind of hate is just... Because, I felt bad for him, when he got fired from G4, handful of years ago. I felt bad for him. Because, from the way that he got let go, I felt bad for him because he contributed so much. He was a host, he was editor-in-chief. Like, he contributed so much to G4, to Tech TV, to X Play. You know what I mean? But as a person, just I've lost respect for him. I've lost respect for him. But overall, just, you know, it's just really sad to see. Like, in less than a year, already G4, the reboot, is just going straight down, 6 feet under. Massive layoffs. You know, Frosk is gone. Blair Herter is gone. You know, who was a big piece for this project, this reboot. Kevin Pereira's out of there. Like, so many layoffs. And like I said, I didn't really watch much of this new X Play because I didn't think it was good. I really didn't think it was good. And, you know, it was even bad to the point where they had to cancel streams. They had to cancel streams. Like, all together. So, it just sucks. It sucks to see, but it doesn't really surprise me that this happened. So, the rise and fall, well, if there's really a rise, I don't know if there was really a rise, but the fall of the G4 TV Reboot. So, I don't know. Like, the subscriber follower count has gone down drastically. Like I said, senior vice president Blair Herter left G4. You know, after his support for Frosk and that rant went bye-bye. Now, my whole thing is this. I think this is a lesson that, being of how social media is and how, you know, YouTube, Twitch, you know, how big those platforms have come, it's a reminder of just really, if you want to really go far into doing, you know, content creation and whatnot, like, you know, there's a lot of competition. There's a whole lot of competition. And like I said, I do give them credit for trying. I do. Because like I said, I was a fan of G4. I was a fan of G4 Tech TV. I was a fan of a lot of their shows that they did back in the good old days. You know? Especially X-Play. X-Play was one of my go-tos. Filter. Attack of the Show. You know, Electric Playground. Anime Unleashed. Cinematech. You know, I had a lot of go-to shows. So, I mean, I applaud them for the attempt. But this failed badly. And I think it's only a matter of time before this G4 reboot shuts down. I mean, I really don't know what they could possibly do to you know, patch things up. I mean, I'm sure they could, you know, put a few band-aids on, but going forward, I mean, they've lost so many subscribers, so many followers. You know, it's just, I don't know. I don't think, it's not so much that they can't be rescued, but are they worth rescuing? You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on just the whole state of this G4 reboot, the Frost rant, and just the layoffs. Like, you know, it's sad to see. It's really sad to see. But I mean, you know, when you put yourself out there, you know, you gotta watch what you say, or be aware of what you say. because there's always going to be somebody that has something to say about it, whether it's negative or positive. And that's just how it is. That's the risk you take when you get on social media. You know? And I just feel like if the content itself was great, if folks were really enjoying the content and they delivered on that with this reboot, then this Frosk rant would have been minor. It would have been minor. I think it would have been talked about, but I don't think it would have ended up being detrimental to the network. You know, maybe like it would have been like, how do you say? Kind of like a paper cut. You know, small paper cut. Hurts a little bit, but not a crazy big deal. But then again, I haven't had a paper cut in a long time, so no, I don't want to be refreshed. But anyway, let me know what y'all's thoughts are on the whole state of G4, the reboot. What'd you think about the Frosk rant? What'd you think about the layoffs? Blair Herter, what'd you think about, you know, his whole take on backing Frosk and then turning around and leaving G4? Can G4 be saved? Or is G4 done and about to be dead in the ground? Do you think they should have done this reboot or just left the nostalgia at home? Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And I hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for watching. For Blitzball Champ Gaming, I'm Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace out.